Hey everybody, it's Deanna with toolsofernergyprotection.com, your energy shift expert, and welcome to the energy forecast for January 8th, 2018. It is simply an amazing time to be alive, and quite frankly, I think this is probably why a lot of us chose to be on this planet at this time. And, sometimes in the past, I've asked myself, what was I thinking coming to this planet? What was I thinking being here? And now I think I have an answer. It was to be in this time and space. So welcome, everybody. I'm Deanna with toolsofernergyprotection.com, your energy shift expert, where I teach highly sensitive people and spiritually gifted people how to ride the energies. So things are growing and changing. The world's growing and changing. Hi, Linda. And so many things are transforming right now for everybody. And I know that's a phrase. People say transformational this, transformational that, yada, 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 But I'm serious when I tell you things are really transforming for this planet right now. They're transforming for the world at large and the world small. Hi, Anna. So this is it. And if you missed my video last week, please go review it either here in the Facebook feed or on YouTube. It'll be for last week because, hi Jessica, what I was talking about is what's going on now. And where we are in time and space and where we are in the frequencies of this planet are... The shifts are calling us home. The shifts are calling us to our true home. So what that means is that if you are spiritually gifted, spiritually aware, or awake, you are being called to be your best self. And the train is leaving, the ship is leaving. And if you've ever seen those old movies where somebody's like standing, on the end with one foot on the dock and one foot on the ship can only go so far before the person falls in the water. And so that's what's happening right now. So if you're feeling extremely excited right now, and you're just full of love and full of go energy and healing and clearing yourself, then you're in the right spot because you're taking off on your destiny, your true place to be. On the other hand, if you're frustrated, if you're angry, if you're not really sure what's happening right now and kind of feeling this back and forth energy and in between, if I push hard enough, I'll break through, and maybe I really shouldn't push it. I'm going to stay in the same safe place I was last year because it worked for me. Then you're not on the boat. So usually before I come on to the Facebook Lives, I'll spend some time writing and asking my guides what to say. And today I didn't get much. So they said they would give it to me live. So in real time, you're receiving the information as I'm receiving it from God, Spirit, and Source, and my spiritual guides. Hi, Patty, and hi, Sharon. Thanks for joining. So where we are is this energy is so intense that it is really squeezing us to discover what kind of person we're going to be. And so the good news, because I did promise people that there were twists and turns and, there's some supportive elements. So if we're standing at the center of the road, we're standing at a fork in the road. And if you've ever read the poem, The Road Less Traveled By, it talks about, how the guy stood there at the fork in the road and he looked down one way and it was a familiar path and well-worn. And he looked down the other way and there's weeds and there's grass and it's overgrown and you don't know if you can make it. And, he really contemplates it. And at the very end, he says, I chose the road less traveled by. And the road less traveled by is hard. Okay, I don't like to put bad juju on certain things, but let's face it, traveling the road you don't know is challenging and it is difficult. And you are being supported right now if you choose that road. And so the rub, if you will, is between your spirit divine self, which is like, come on, let's go, and your physical self, which has old neuro programming in it that says, stay the course. It might not be happy, it's uncomfortable, but it's happily uncomfortable. Stay the course. And so here you are trying to get out of your rut, trying to advance yourself. And this part goes schmack because the other part won't let you. So there's really a struggle between the physical consciousness of the body and the spirit body. It's a huge dynamic right now. Lots of folks calling me, even me myself, having some challenges in that area. So the first thing I'd like for you to do is to recognize what archetype you are. What program are you running? And a program is going to be something like, are you a perfectionist? Are you overly masculine? Are you overly feminine in the way that you do things? Are you a neat freak? See, I'll get some more archetypes here to share with you because there's a whole bunch of them. And my guidance is telling me that knowing them will help you out. So you've got a creator or a producer, somebody who always likes to produce things or create things. I knew a guy once who would go in and create a new company, and once it got up and running, he'd sell it because he was bored. That was his archetype. There are people that are dreamers. That's all they do. They can't make anything manifest in the 3D world because there's so much up in the clouds all the time. There's a person who is maybe a critical parent, and that's their theme. You do have people that run, like the masculine or feminine more than, probably good. But just different kinds of archetypes that we have. They're pervasive programs that are running within us that are who we are. And all of those programs that I mentioned have a healthy side. But a lot of us tend to have the rudder one way or the other, and we don't run it healthy. So if you are having challenges being stuck, and it's like your part of you is like ready to go, can't wait to get there, and you feel like a dog that has its leash on and it's being choked back, then it's time to turn around and take a look at the leash. What's holding you back? And which archetype is that a part of? Is it a part of your perfectionist angle? And if it is, take a look at that, because it's perfectionist is okay in some circumstances, but it's rigid, and it tends to be rigid and keeps us from growing. Rigid it surrounds us with so much perfection that we have paralysis, the analysis paralysis. If I can't be perfect at it, I don't want to do it. Well, in the human condition, if you're able to get on roller skates and skate like a pro, good for you. But most of us, we have to adjust our human frame and body and get used to balance and distance, engaging things. And it's the same way here and now. Your consciousness is ready to go, move in new places. You know, your spiritual divine self is opening up and saying, this is great. And your physical mind is like, that's not safe. We can't do that. Which creates self-punishment, low self-esteem, self-shame. And so if you have that, allow yourself to participate in being fully human. Humans make mistakes, whether we like it or don't like it. And that's just part of learning. I mean, I don't like it myself, but I'm in a human body with a spirit divine self. And that human body has been trained to accept certain things and not certain things over the years. Not being good enough, or you can't possibly allow yourself to succeed, because if you do succeed, then what? You won't have to struggle, which is not necessarily true, because when you succeed, there's always the next level up. But then there also comes being tired. So your brain becomes tired. And it's like, I've done this so much where I've leveled up to the next level of success, level up, 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 and you look around, you're like, this is exhausting. Why do I even want to bother? The answer to that is because bothering now is a huge deal. If you imagine the stars being like cogs in a wheel, and as they turn, they bring different frequencies and turning them off and on. And where we find ourselves in space and time right now, there are a lot of wheels that have come to a stop, full and complete. And if you look at astrology, there are no air signs right now, which means usually you have fire signs, water signs, air signs. There's no chance for us to catch a breath. So literally, it's like the universe is just taking a breath and holding it to see where you flesh out. And if you're wavering on something, if you're not succeeding at something, get some help to move forward. You have, let's see if I can remember, I think you have about 11 days before the next shift. Let's see here. Might not, that's off by a little bit. The next shift is happening January 15th, and it is a spiritual shift. And that shift is going to move us to the next tick of all the energies that are lining up. So between now and the 15th, start taking steps in the direction that you desire to go. The biggest thing I've heard amongst other people in my business that are looking at this too, the theme is make a plan. Make a plan. If you're having a hard time, then put it in writing. If you can't, or you have a hard time writing, type it out, print it out, and put it up. Because if you don't, it just keeps rolling around in your mind and keeps looping, and you're like, yep, I'm going to do that tomorrow. Yep, I'm going to do that tomorrow. Yep, I'm going to do, and you never do. Never. Because you don't have the intestinal fortitude to go past what your old programming is. Your old programming says, stay put, it's safe here. And it's scary to take steps forward and to make that leap. But I'm telling you, that ship, that energetic ship is pulling out. And each day between now and the 15th, it's getting wider and wider and wider. And it's going to be harder to make the jump. So make the jump. Say and note that you deserve to be loved. And that you're divinely loved. And make a statement out loud every day that you're supremely happy and you can express your true self. You don't have to hide it anymore. And by making those statements, you're going to reprogram your neuro pathways from what they have been. And if you have a family dynamic or a belief that you're repeating and you really don't want to, but you feel like you're stuck in it, then make a statement when you get up every morning. I release inherited beliefs. I dissolve the identity that was unhelpful characteristics from my family. Right? Right now, it is a verbal support. You are creating a new vow, a new energy on how to go forward without carrying the family stuff with you. All right. They tell me they're done for a minute. So I want to say hi to Yashira. I want to say hi to Jo Ellen. Hi to Anna. Hi to Tracy. Hi to Stacy. Let's see here. Hi to Jane and Ed and Pamela. Thank you all for joining. So for those of you just joining, I usually will write a little something up for the energy shift. And tonight, it's pretty much the direct information that they're giving me now and what's happening and changing. And I did get a new internet service trying to fix the pixelation that I've had in past transmissions, and it looks like it's lagging a little bit, so hopefully it's a little better. But let me get on. So again, this next shift is happening January 15th, and you have between the 1st, now the 8th, and then to make this dynamic shift in your life. It is time to pull your bootstraps up and get on it. Make a plan. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of how to make a plan, because a lot of you are like that you don't know how, and that's fine. So you get out pencil and paper, or you type it out on your computer and print it out. But let's say one of the classic examples for New Year's Eve resolutions is, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to lose weight. Great. If it works, let me know how you did it. But if you don't have a plan, the human mind needs something right in front of it to pay attention to. And in fact, if you will take a protractor or a level and put it right about under your nose and go up 20 degrees. Anything you post that's at 20 degrees from your sight, so if you're going to put a sticky note up in your bathroom to remind yourself, or at your desk, make sure it's 20 degrees above your sight line. Then you post things there, and your subconscious mind will pick it up and put it to memory, and the more that your subconscious mind absorbs it, the more it will have a tendency to do it. If you don't believe me, tell me what TV commercial was your favorite jingle when you were a kid. Now, it may not have been at 20 degrees, but the jingles that they put on TV with commercials, at least when we were kids, were catchy little tunes so that we would sing them. They go into our subconscious mind, and then we would always remember that product, so that when you went to the store, that's always the brand you reached for. Took some programming. And it might take you past the 15th, but let's say you want to make a plan. So you say, okay, I want to lose weight. So then you become aware of your choices. Is there a gym down the street? Do you want a Zumba tape on your TV in the morning? How are you going to get your exercise? And then put pen or pencil to paper and write it out. So if you have to be at work at 8 o'clock and you got to leave the house by 7:30, that means you get up at 6:30. And from 6:30 to 7 o'clock, you're doing your Zumba, or you're going to the gym, or whatever it is that you're doing. But you write it down like you would a doctor's appointment, so you don't forget. And then you do it every morning, routinely. It will become a routine after a while, but you will start to see your body shift and change, because it can't help it, because you're moving it in time and space. But if you just think about it every single day, guess what? A whole year will go by and you'll still be thinking about it. And I'd like to see the hands of how many people out there think about losing weight and it happens. Okay, this is the best comedy I have. I had a rough Tuesday. It doesn't. So that's what the universe is asking you to do, is make a change. And the only way I know how to make a change is to make a plan and write it out. And if it doesn't work, then write out something else. You know, if a plan doesn't work at first, then maybe it's too tough for you. So you say, instead of going to the gym every morning, maybe it's easier for you to work out at your lunchtime. Maybe it's easier for you to work out after work and go to the gym as opposed to sitting in traffic for an hour. I mean, you could just drive home from work and take an hour to get home, and then every time traffic stops, get out and do jumping jacks, but people are going to look at you kind of weird. So that's the deal. If you're going to make a change, make a plan. If the plan doesn't work for you, then change it. Because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And the universe right now is moving forward in great leaps and bounds. This is the time of light, if you haven't guessed it. And for those of you that took history in school, you remember the Dark Ages. If you don't, Google it and read about it. It was a horrible, horrible time. And that's when people were really removed from God's spirit source, didn't have much spirituality, trying to survive. This group trying to take over that group. It was horrible. Not a good time to be in time and space. And now, if you think about it, we're actually in the opposite of that. So many things are easy these days to come to us. We have a blessed life. We have time to think. We have time to meditate. We have time to make food choices that we like. And that's another thing about this shift. Food choices are huge. You've got to eat foods that support you. You know, if you're one of those that eats frozen dinners all the time, or processed foods, or fatty foods, you know, I'm going to say it, cut it out. Because right now, with these shifts, you're going to be so tired, so tired. I can't tell you how many people have told me, oh, Deanna, I'm so tired all the time. But I'm tired too. I'm exhausted. Partially is because of my eating hasn't been really good lately, and partially is because I'm not sleeping well at night. But if you think about your mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and energetic bodies are all existent at the same time. And if your spirit body's up here at night getting downloads, progressing itself, getting information, and then it comes back into this physical body, which didn't rest well because it didn't eat well or get exercise, you're going to be tired. And how can you run this marathon that's in front of us unless you change your eating habits and your sleeping patterns? Get on it, people. I know my last couple of transmissions haven't been all lovey, but that's because these times call for people to be told the straight truth. And the truth is, you better get your spiritual butt moving or you're going to be left behind. And I'm not talking about that Armageddon movie, or, you know, where the God comes and does the rapture and leaves all the other people behind that didn't make it. That's not what this is about. This is about your conscious awareness. And the time is coming very soon that there's going to be some major shifts on the world planet, in policies, in politics. And if you're not connected into the divine creator source of all, you're going to not know what the heck is happening, and you'll have to rely on local news. And they're going to tell you stuff that isn't necessarily true because they're going to be just driving their number one priority, which is fear. Because it's easier to rule people in fear than people that are stable and people that have consciousness and feel good. So the choice is yours. And I know I've been kind of, not so lovey and more urging you these last few days, but that's my job. It's to bring you the message from the boss. And I was talking to a guy last Thursday, for heaven's sakes, and he just looked at me so funny. He said, "What do you mean the boss?" And I said, "You know, the boss." And he laughed because he had actually thought of Bruce Springsteen. So no, I don't work for Bruce. And not Bruce Almighty either. But anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm gonna talk a little bit longer. Usually I try to keep these down to 20 minutes or less because I know people don't always have the time to devote to it, but this is some important stuff. These are life-changing times. If I'm not mistaken with the astrology, this star alignment has not happened since like 1780. That's a long time. You know, it's a major shift. Hi, Pamela. Stacey says, yes, I have to write everything down. You know, it's true. And it's not so much with age, but it has to do with just human beings. All right. I do have one question right now. It says 2 to 4 a.m. I cannot sleep. All right. 2 to 4 a.m. is generally a time on this side of the planet anyway, if you're not watching me from India and Finland. I've had some of those people joining me. But on this side of the planet, 2 to 4 a.m. is a time where it's quiet or still. And highly sensitive people tend to be very quiet and still in nature to think. That's when they can receive their information best because they're not having to filter out all the other undulations that are going on all over the world. or near them. So not being able to sleep generally means that there's some sort of a download, spiritual download that you may be resisting, something that you're not ready for yet. Be sure that you're not watching television or anything backlit, like your computer or tablet, at least an hour before you go to bed, because that does stimulate the optical nerves. And the optical nerves will tell your body to stay awake and not to go to sleep. So, anybody else have any questions at this time? Okay, Tracy says the astrology is so powerful right now. The outer planets are doing some major awesome things in Earth energy, and yes, they definitely are. And that's why we're all feeling it. And if you imagine the millions of people on this planet that aren't awake, that have no idea why they're feeling this way, they're stressed out, they're turning to, alternative means to settle themselves down. Some of them are going to the doctors, complaining of depression, anxiety, and getting, all kinds of drugs pumped into them, which doesn't really help your body that much at all. Just saying. But anyway, so energy balancing and wrapping it up. This coming up Thursday and Friday, I'll be in Denver at For Heaven's Sakes Bookstore. If your Learjet is in the shop, then you can call 303-964-9339 and come down to For Heaven's Sakes. Well, if your Learjet's in the shop and you're in Indiana or Florida, just give the store a call, 303-964-9339, and get a phone reading, or I do Zoom reading, which means we'll see each other live, kind of like this. If you are in town, come on down on Friday, because the store will be having a discount on regular sessions, and so you'll get a discounted rate. So call the store as soon as you can tomorrow, and make sure you get your time slot, because I only have like 5 time slots available each day, so you can imagine it fills up quite quickly. And that's pretty much it. It's a huge dynamic choice right now. You're being asked to choose between 2 major paths in your life. Are you going to progress your life in a manner that's connected with God's Spirit or Source and Earth Mother, and be aligned with that and overcome your fears and do what you can to work past them? Are you going to be the one that's back there next week going, wow, I should have jumped when I had the chance? And it's really not that challenging, people. You look at what's not honoring you. What are old behavior patterns, old belief systems from your past or your family's past that are simply just not good for you? You got to shed the poop and move forward. Do I have any more questions before I go on? Okay. So basically, just to recap, look for your archetype. Look for that dynamic pattern that you run over and over and over again. See what it is, do what it takes to work past it or balance it out, because the energies are supporting you so hugely right now. God's Spirit or Source is showing you a vast amount of change right now that is there for you. All you have to do is step forward and you'll be supported. And I know it can be scary. It's really scary. I'm taking some steps myself to shift things for myself right now. And it is scary. And you don't know what's going to happen. And the unknown is always scary. But the unknown that's available to you right now is much better than what you're going to be leaving behind. Because you are loved. You are blessed. And you are a divine creation of the Creator Source of all. If you're struggling, let me know. Let's find it together. Let's find out what's going on. Let's create a plan and get you moving forward. And that's pretty much all I have. So have a great and wonderful night. Big hugs and kisses. And I will see you next week.